I want to give everyone, just set the stage a little bit and introduce myself and make sure I introduce Patelco. But would love to see a raise a hand of anybody who's a Patelco member or a credit union member in general. And I like to see this as job security, and this is not atypical for a lot of folks to not know what credit unions are or to be members of a credit union. So again, my honor to be with you guys tonight. I've got a lot of stories to share, having been in the industry going on over 15 years now. But my name is Michelle Enriquez. I am the Membership Development Manager at Patelco. I oversee a team of financial wellness partners that go out into the community, and we deliver on financial education for nonprofit groups. We deliver on financial education for high schools and middle schools, but we also go out to companies and we work with companies and their HR departments to bring financial wellness and Patelco as a benefit to employees. And I think more and more these days, you're hearing about mental wellness and wellness in general, and financial wellness is a big part of that now. And, I think since 2008 and kind of entering the times we're in now, plus living in the Bay Area, really kind of is this culmination and breaking point where financial wellness, we have to focus on it, particularly because the region we live in and the times we live in. So for me, doing this kind of work, I'm just really passionate about what I do, hoping to inspire others and then just share information just for the betterment of the community. So I also want to say I've worked with Jasper over my career too, and you guys are so fortunate that you had the opportunity to hear him speak. I shared with Charla that he's one of the most inspiring speakers that I've had the opportunity to work with. So I know you've been in good hands learning a ton of great information over the last 3 days. And again, hoping to get some questions you have answered. But I want to give you a little bit about my background. I first started in the industry about 16 years ago now. I went to college back in the 1900s, back when credit card companies could come to campus and sell credit cards. They could take credit card applications and they could give you a beach towel or a cool prize and sign up 18-year-olds right on the spot. And back then, there weren't laws in place in terms of making sure that you could afford to make credit card payments. So me, at 18, I'm on campus, I signed up for this credit card. I was 18 years old with no job, and I got a $30,000 line of credit on campus in between classes. Now, that can't happen today. There are laws in place. There are strict lending guidelines. And if you've been through a process where you've been denied for a credit card or denied for a loan, it's because they're very rigid about making sure that any financial institution extends a loan or a credit card to somebody that can make the payment. So back to my story. I'm 18 years old. I have this $30,000 line of credit. I've never had any kind of financial education. Me and my family, we never really talked about money. So I have zero education and experience with dealing with money. And to hand somebody that kind of leeway to spend money was really dangerous and frivolous. And I did what every 18-year-old does and goes and spend every penny of that $30,000 line of credit. So I found myself at 22, I graduated on time, thankfully, but I had my student loan debt. And now I had all this credit card debt. And that wasn't the only credit card I had. I had a couple. So I was in trouble. And I thought, I just graduated college. I'm going to get a great job and I'm going to pay it all off. And it didn't happen that fast. It didn't happen like I had thought. And I just happened to start working for a place that had a connection with a credit union. It was San Mateo Credit Union back on the peninsula. And I happened to be in a branch one day and I thought, I'm just going to talk to somebody, like, how do I tackle this? How do I pay this credit card debt down? And I ended up sitting with a banker and they explained to me they could put me in a debt consolidation loan and they could put me on a plan to pay off this credit card. And boy, that took 8.5 years to pay off, but I did it. But had it not been for that one opportunity, that one experience, that one person to teach me how to do this, I really believe I'd still be paying off that credit card to this day. So out of that experience, I got really inspired to, tell my story to help prevent my situation from happening to others. And so today, we get to teach young people the ins and outs of financial education. As you know, or you may know, financial education is not taught in the classroom. It's still not. And the state of California is working really diligently to pass legislation to make it required for that to be so, but we're still a ways away from it. So anyhow, that's where my inspiration comes from, and excited to share some information with you today. So I've been at this 15 years for credit unions, working out in the community, doing education. I don't have any experience working in the branch, but I have helped thousands and thousands of people set up products and services. So hoping to help you with your questions related to that. Just a little bit about Patelco. If you're not familiar with us specifically, we're one of the nation's largest credit unions, and most of the nation's largest credit unions are here in California. You may have heard of Schools First Credit Union, Patelco, of course, Navy Federal Credit Union is another big one. But we're one of the top 10 largest credit unions in the nation. And I say that because you may have heard in the news recently that there's a lot of banks being taken over by the feds recently. And really kind of our size really speaks to kind of our tenure and our capacity in the industry. And we're in a really good financial position. So for anybody on this call that's kind of wondering about, whether or not there are community banks going to be around, or our position specifically, we're a larger institution and very fiscally sound. If you're unfamiliar with credit unions at all, that's not untypical. I remember when I first got introduced to a credit union, you look at the word credit and union, the two don't really equate to what we are. And that is just like a bank. We are a financial institution, just like a bank, but how credit unions started is in the 1800s. There were groups of people that got together and they pooled their money together and lent and saved amongst each other. And credit unions were kind of built on those principles of people helping people and a savings and loan type institution. And over time, we've just caught up and we have most things that you can find at a bank. Now, credit unions are very different than banks also because we are not for profit. And it's really important to know that difference, because that means that everything that we do, every decision that we make, every new product that we roll out is with our members in mind, and it's with our communities in mind. So these credit unions, they started by pockets of people. Most credit unions just serve pockets of communities, and that goes for Patelco as well. We serve Northern California, but what credit unions have done over time is we cooperate. So our credit union, Provident Credit Union, Golden One Credit Union, you may have seen, we all cooperate on a network. So if you're a member of Patelco, you can go use Golden One's ATM, you can go use Providence ATM anywhere across the nation. And that's how we kind of compete, so to speak, or make it convenient for our members to access ATMs and do banking. So actually all the credit unions across the United States combined have more ATMs and more access than any one single bank. And so that's just a little bit about who we are. One other thing to note with us is because we're not for profit, we don't have shareholders to please. So every decision that we make is really with our members and our community in mind. What do we need? What can we create? What kind of services can we create just for our members? And so us being smaller in that sense is really a benefit to our community, really a benefit to you as the consumer. But just think of us as just like a bank, have all the same products and services. Because we're not for profit also, we are tax exempt. And that's a benefit to our members too, because the profits that we do make, we don't pay to our shareholders. We put back into the membership in the form of higher deposit rates and lower loan rates. So if you've ever heard someone say, oh, I got my car loan at the credit union, we hear it all the time. It's typically because our rates are more favorable. If you hear somebody say, oh, I got my savings at the credit union, it's because our rates are better. So we like to say we've got everything that a bank does, just a better deal. A couple things I just want to mention also, because our mission is to provide financial wellness to our community, we're really passionate about making sure that every decision that we make really fits that mission. I'm going to talk about 2 products and services that really kind of demonstrate that. When I first came to Patelco, and I came from another credit union, so I'm about 2 years new here, they told me about a product they had called Level Up. And the way it works is if you come and get an auto loan or a personal loan from us, that's what we categorize as consumer loans, and you don't qualify for the best rates, let's say the best lowest rate you could get is 2%. You come to us, you don't have the best credit score, you end up qualifying for 4%. We put you in the loan, you get through your first year of payments. You've made 12 on-time payments. Patelco will automatically.
What are the options? Sorry. Okay.
Or salad.
What kind of salad?
It's Mediterranean.
Hello? Oh, okay.
I think I got it there.
Thank you.
So
Simone,
regarding this Level Up product, you don't qualify for the best rate. You enter in for this car loan. What we'll do after 12 months of consecutive payments is automatically lower your rate by 0.5%. And we won't just do that the first year. We will do that for 3 consecutive years, as long as you make your on-time payments. So you get 4%. It's not the best rate. 3 years into it, you can qualify for as low as 2.5%. And that's a really great kind of demonstration of our commitment to both rewarding our members for on-time payments, but also getting you the lowest rate and putting those dollars back in your pocket. When I got here, I said, no, that's a thing. That's not a thing. There must be a catch. You must have to call or do something. It's just an automatic program for anyone who gets a loan, consumer loan with us at Patelco. The other product I just want to mention briefly is a product called ScoreUp. And this product was birthed about 1.5 years ago out of a need, because we kept seeing members being declined for loans and credit cards, and said, we have to do something. We either have to change our restrictions, or we need to come up with a new product. And so out of that was born a ScoreUp credit builder loan. And so you can come to Patelco and you can enter in a loan agreement for anywhere from $500 to $2,500. And depending on how much you can afford, and no more than 3 years, you can say, Michelle, I want to get a loan for $1,000 and I want to pay it off in 2 years. We figure out what the payments are, and the payments that you make, you pay to yourself. They go into a savings account in your name, and those payments that you're making are reported to the credit bureau. So you build up your credit history. Now, this product is really great if you have no credit, or if you're trying to rebuild your credit, because the way it works also is it's a fixed rate, and it's a fixed low rate of 5.75%, which is really great. If you've applied for a loan before and have had issues with your credit score or any other thing, that's a great rate to have. So it's just another demonstration of how we're taking challenges that we're seeing that the community is having, and we're finding a solution, and those just happen to be directly related to credit. The last thing I'll mention that's really new for us is getting Bank On certified. Now, the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda have put together what they call Bank On Oakland. And it's a place where community members can go and say, hey, I am looking for a trusted financial institution. Where can I go? So instead of you having to do all the research, the city of Oakland has put together and made financial institutions go through this process by which they consider a responsible financial institution. And those criteria include things like no overdraft fees, no annual fees. The criteria is like 30 items long. Patelco has gone through the process to get Bank On certified so that our community members know that we're a responsible place to do banking with. So that was pretty exciting, and something that's happened this year. That concludes just kind of my intro remarks. Sorry, that was, a bit long-winded, but that's just a little bit about myself, my background, and just a little bit about Patelco. Because I don't work in a branch, I don't process loans every single day, but I want to do my best to help answer whatever questions you may have. And whatever I can't, I will take back to our team and I'll follow up with you and get them answered for you.
That sounds great. Anybody have any questions so far? Daryl, I think I saw your hand up for a minute. Do you still have a question? Okay, guess not. Okay. Daryl, go
Hi.
ahead.
This is Andrea. I was just wondering, I belong to Redwood Credit Union in Sonoma County. And I just wonder, do all credit unions function the same, or was all that you said unique to Patelco?
Yeah, so all credit unions serve different pockets of communities. So Redwood Credit Union, because they're out in Sonoma, to me, Redwood Credit Union serves kind of a more affluent type of membership. So they may have, their own products and services. In general, most credit unions have all the general types of things and we all cooperate, but we have different promotions and products and services that cater to our membership, if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
We have one question, Michelle, from Mary Allen. Do I need a membership to get a loan?
You don't need a membership to apply for a loan. You can come to us and apply, and if you end up taking the loan, we'll ask you to become a member, and all that means is you have a savings account, and we don't even make you put a minimum in it. You just have it, and that's kind of your foundation membership with the credit union.
Any other questions? Oh, I have one. So you were mentioning the differences between the traditional banks and the credit unions in terms of the percentage of interest rates, whereas Patelco can offer usually a better interest rate than the traditional bank. What usually is that difference in percentage? Is there an average? I mean, do you keep like an average? We want to make sure we stay X% lower than the traditionals, or how does that work?
That's a really great question. I think right now is particularly relevant because how many folks have seen these crazy CD specials? I don't know if you're familiar with certificates or CDs, but you may have heard also that the federal government, they control the rates. They set a baseline for rates that all financial institutions kind of have to abide by. And then we as financial institutions kind of have to balance our books to see how we're going to set our rates for our customers or members. On average, we don't have kind of any set, high or low against banks, but on the consumer side, so the loan side, I think you're going to see the biggest differences, and usually that's about 1 to 2% difference. I would say the auto loans is typically where you find the biggest differences. Those can be as many as 5 interest basis points difference in the banks. And then the credit card rates, you're going to see really big differences also. So where you might see 17% at a bank, you might see 7% at a credit union. On the savings side, the savings is really competitive. So if you're looking for at Bank of America's savings rate or Wells Fargo's CD certificate rate, those are going to be much more comparable and competitive versus loans. Real estate or home loans also are very much competitive. Those you're not going to see vary too much either. So to answer your question, you'll see the biggest differences on the loans.
Okay. Mickey, did that answer, or is that Michelle? Michelle, did that answer your question in the chat? Another question from Daryl: do credit unions? I'm sorry, it just changed. 1 second. Do credit unions provide real estate loans?
We do mortgage loans. We do firsts, we do seconds, we do home equity loans. We do FHA loans also. So the whole suite of real estate loans we do support.
Okay. Another question from John. Why should I choose Patelco instead of the other credit unions?
Well, I'm going to tell you that Patelco is the best. Don't take my word for it. I think, what everyone, you probably learned this in, Jasper's class, you've really got to kind of understand how you are as a consumer. And I'll say that with, if I'm a person that really uses the ATM a lot, or I like to go into a physical branch, or I really like the idea of mobile banking and I want a really nice app, you kind of got to figure out what kind of consumer you are and then kind of make your decisions there. I will say, as an example, I'm the type of person that never goes into a branch. I have zero need to go into a branch ever. I do like a really robust mobile app. I want to see my credit score in there. I want to Zelle people through my mobile app. And so for me, Patelco's in a really great situation to support our members that are really tech savvy, because we have one of the country's best mobile apps that does have the credit score, that does allow you to send money via Zelle. We have budgeting tips within our mobile app too. So we're kind of there with banks, and not all credit unions can say that. The other thing I'll say is we have 37 branch locations in Northern California. That's a significant amount across the Bay Area. So we are convenient if you do want to come in and see somebody and talk to somebody. The other cool thing about our credit union that we just won an award for recently is we just launched a virtual branch. And this kind of came out of the pandemic because people didn't want to come into the branch and talk to people. You can open up a Zoom just like this and talk to a banker like me. And you can do everything that you do at a bank with the exception of exchanging cash. It's an amazing, cool feature. We get thousands of people at the virtual branch every month. So it's just a really convenient way to bank. You may be the kind of person that travels a lot, and you may want to use virtual branch when you're on the road. So those are the things that you kind of got to consider about yourself and how you like to bank, and then pick an institution that is going to support the things that you need. The other thing I'll just add is, you may want to pick a financial institution that really gives back to the community, that you feel good about investing in. And Patelco and credit unions in general are extremely giving when it comes to giving back to the community. And so if those are the kind of things that you're passionate about, then a credit union is the way to go.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see, we have another question. What is Patelco's credit card APR currently?
I am going to check right now because I don't know off the top of my head. If you just give me 1 second, I will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a few different credit cards. We've got just our regular standard MasterCard, and then we've got a student credit card. The student card is for those that are 18 to 24. And our credit card rate as of today is as low as 11%, up to 50,000.
That's great.
No annual
Wow.
fee and no balance transfer fee. Also, if you're looking to bring over a balance from an existing card.
Awesome. And then Michelle, the question I had earlier about the home loans, what is the percentage of the portfolio that are home loans?
That I don't know off the top
Would you
of
happen
my
to know
head.
that? Okay.
But coincidentally, we have what credit unions do for their members is hold an annual meeting. And as a credit union member, you are an owner of the credit union because we don't have shareholders. We report to our members. So every single year we do an annual meeting. Our annual meeting is tomorrow. And it's your opportunity to get on a Zoom call with our CEO and ask her questions and ask her these kind of questions. And I, when I first got into credit unions, I thought, man, how empowering is that for you to be that close and connected to the decision makers at your financial institution. So at this annual meeting, the real purpose of it is to share all the financials of the credit union with our members, because for exactly what you're asking, you may be curious, and you can ask our CEO directly those types of things. But we'll put out an annual report, and it's very specific in terms of how we invest our money and our portfolio, and how much of that is our home loans.
Would you mind sharing that connection, that access information with Simone?
I will absolutely.
So she can share it with the group. There may be someone on the call that might be interested in logging in. We have another comment and question from Keisha. I love Patelco. I have an account. I'm interested in opening an account for my daughter. She's 14. Do you offer accounts for teens, checkings and savings?
Yes, when your child or student hits 13 years of age, they can get themselves a student checking account. Now, the parent still needs to be joint on the account, and you have to sign what's called an indemnity agreement, which just holds the parent liable for any overdrafts that may occur. But at 13, they can get their own debit card. You can be on the account with them, help teach them, guide them, monitor their transactions. It's a great way to get started. I wish I had opened a student checking account when I was a teenager.
Okay, great. We have another question from Pierre Richards. What is the process for transferring balances from other credit cards, Visa, et cetera, to a new Patelco credit card with a lower APR?
It's pretty simple. You could visit the virtual branch and they could walk you through the process. If you go to our website and hit branch locations, virtual branch is listed as a location. You hit the Meet Now button and you see somebody. It's the coolest thing. So if you want to take the time and talk to somebody about the process, I recommend virtual branch. Absolutely. You can go into a branch and get it done, but you could also do it online. And what we see on the back end is super simple. So I'm a loan officer. I see your application come in. I process your application. We pay off the other creditor, and then you just make new payments to us and enter a new agreement with us. It's actually a super simple process once you've applied and are approved. There is also a super cool feature on our website called Check My Rate. So if you don't want to apply, and Jasper taught you guys this, when you guys submit a loan application, it's going to run a hard inquiry on your credit report. If you don't want to do that, you can go to our website and there's a feature called Check My Rate, which allows you to put in your basic information and we'll give you a pre-approval rate. If that doesn't beat what you already have, then there's no sense in bringing it over, or maybe it does. But that only runs a soft hit on your credit. So there's no real downside to checking. So check it out. Patelco.org, Check My Rate is the feature.
Okay, I'm loving this. Okay, another question from John. Any specials for first-time customers?
We do. We have a $50 incentive to join Patelco with a free checking account. And I didn't tell Charlo this, but that's just for ACUR participants. So everyone on this call, I'll share a flyer with if you'd like to join Patelco.
What a nice surprise.
Yeah, it's just a $50 incentive once you make a $100 deposit. Now that $100 deposit doesn't have to stay there, but it triggers the system. Once it sees the $100 in your new membership, we'll reward you with the 50 and welcome you to Patelco. But other than that, there's no specials for anybody that walks in. So that's unique to you guys.
Oh, how wonderful. And you said for checking and savings, or?
Yes,
just
so
checking?
The membership is the savings. So you would have a checking and savings.
Awesome. Okay. That sounds fabulous. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, I happen to have another one. Where do I sign? Do I need to start with the virtual branch?
I
Or
would start with the
how does-
virtual
how do you-
branch.
How would one
and-
get set up right now?
Yeah, so Jasper probably also went over the kinds of things you need to open an account. So what we ask for is one form of government ID, and that can't be expired. So that includes your driver's license, a passport. It could be a passport from another country. It does not need to be from the United States, but it has to be a government ID. So one of those two guys. And then a second form of ID that is not government. It could be a Safeway card with your name on it, something with your name on it. It could be a debit card. It could be a PG&E statement. To join, we also don't ask you for any money up front. Most credit unions will ask you for $1 to put in your credit union to set up the account. We don't even ask you for the $1. So you could go to our virtual branch and get set up with no initial deposit. As long as you've got your IDs, then we'll get you set up. And that's
One
kind of
question I do
significant
have.
because,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and it's kind of significant because I also have my B of A account. I've had the thing forever. But the B of A minimum to start is $250. You know, that's not always feasible for everyone.
Right, right, good point. One other question I wanted to ask, actually on behalf of a friend of mine, for small business owners. So let's say you have a home office or a small mom and pop type shop. Are there any specials or any incentives for small business owners? How are they held in turn, the same as a personal account would be for an individual, or is that treated a little differently for a business account?
I'm not sure the answer to that question. We don't currently have business accounts, but we are going to be rolling it out next year. So we're in the process of that right now. But I do believe the type of corporation you have and how you're incorporated depends on how your account is set up, but also if you need loans, who the guarantor is when you get your loan. So say I'm self-employed, or I'm a self-employed, or there's one other classification. Anyway, if I'm self-employed and I apply for a business loan, that is under my credit. It's my credit that's considered, versus if you're a corporation, they're going to check the assets of the corporation instead of the individual.
Okay, great. And let's see, is there anything else? Okay, I don't see another question here. Let me just double check. One other thing that I think the audience would like to know is in terms of the home loan, and I know you kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, but let's say you don't have a down. Are there any special programs if you have decent credit, but no cash, or a small amount of cash?
Yeah, that is everybody's situation. I'll share with you guys too. Only because I worked at the credit union for as long as I did and I started super early, we were able to get a house. I am convinced that if that weren't the case, we would have never been able to buy a house, and we bought it back in 2013. But the way I got started was I went and talked to somebody, and you can do this with our real estate team. You can sit down and say, here's where I am. I only have this much down. I know I need a lot more. Can you guys put me on a plan to get there? And then can we talk this through? I mean, essentially what it comes down to, if you want to buy a house in the Bay Area, your price is probably going to be $750,000 to $1 million. That's just the way it is.
Right.
And every financial institution is required that their people they lend to put 20% down. Now there's different programs in the way that we do that. And at Patelco, you can come in as little as 5% down. So that's a really much more manageable than 20%, because 20% of $1 million is 200,000. And I don't have that kind of, most people don't have that kind of cash laying around. So what
Right.
we do then is we sit down with you and we talk to you and say, you know, where are you looking? Are you looking in Fairfield or are you looking in Oakland proper? Because that's very different value. Are you looking in Tracy where I live? Or are you looking on the peninsula where I used to live? So that was a real eye opener for us. Like, okay, this is a $2 million home. We don't have 20% of a $2 million home. So then you as the buyer need to start making some decisions as to, okay, here's what the housing prices are in this area. What's 5% of that? Can we do that?
Mhm.
And then you start to plan to come up with that 5%. And then you get to talking with them about closing costs and, you know, all the other things. So really sitting down with somebody who knows the prices in the area, who knows about home loans is super helpful when you're looking to start the process of buying. And I say process because it really is a process. So I encourage
Right.
everybody that is thinking about buying a home, even if you know you don't have the down payment, sit down and talk to one of our certified financial specialists. I failed to mention at the beginning of this call that I am a certified financial counselor and part of our team, and there's a certified financial counselor at nearly every branch of ours. You can walk in, say, I'd like to talk to one of your coaches or your counselors, and their job is to sit down with you and understand what goal it is you're trying to make and help you figure out a plan with that goal. Those
Reach
services
it.
are completely free and you do not need to be a member to get coaching and counseling from our team.
Wow, great. Looks like there's a couple more questions in the
Charlotte, I'm not sure
chat.
that answered your question. I went off on a detour on that one.
It
Sorry.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it did. It did totally. From John, how can I get the special with the virtual branch? And I assume you mean John, the $50.
Yeah, I have a flyer for you guys that you'll just need to present to them. I'm sure if you visit the virtual branch, and say,
Okay.
Michelle was talking to me at something, they'll be like, okay, Michelle's always talking at something. But I will give you guys an official flyer after this call that Charlotte can share with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and from Donna, if you have a high percentage on your credit card, like 19%, can you apply for a Patelco credit card? And let's see, so can you get an immediate transfer or payoff of the higher card?
Yeah, I
meant
mentioned
if you apply.
earlier.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that the process is super simple on our side. Once we take your application, we're going to review your debt to income ratio. We're going to review your income. We're going to pull a hard pull on your credit report to see, to determine your debt to income ratio. And then once we approve you, we pay off the other creditor right away. And then you start making payments to us right away. Before doing that, if you don't want to fill out an application and do a hard inquiry on your credit, you can check out our website, the Check My Rate, to see if we can get you up to rate. But I almost, you know, if you're wanting to do this and your rate is that high, you may want to talk to one of our certified financial coaches too. We may pull your credit, see what's on your credit, get an idea of your credit score, and a certified financial coach might be able to look at your situation and say, we're probably not going to be able to do this today, but why don't we work on getting your credit score up a little bit so that you're ready to apply in like 3 months.
Sounds great. Now, does the $50 offer apply at any Patelco, or is it a particular office that any and every Patelco?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions? Now's the time. We've got her right here. Okay, Michelle, is there anything else you think that we should know, just generally speaking? And again, thank you very much for the offer. That's a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, so you guys had emailed me some questions that came up during sessions, and one of them was regarding DTI. I don't know if Jasper covered this, but I'm going to explain it fully, just because it's worth it. All financial institutions, I mentioned, credit card companies being irresponsible and giving loans to people that, didn't have the capacity to pay them off. Out of these new laws that were set as a result of that, all financial institutions are required to determine your debt to income ratio. So anytime you come to any financial institution, they're going to ask you for three things. They're going to ask you for proof of income. So you've got to provide your W-2s, your tax returns if you're self-employed. You got to show your proof of income. Then we're going to pull your credit. And then some financial institutions, and we do this, and we weigh this almost as heavily as your income, is we kind of test you for character. So say, Charla, you've been a member with us for years and you have your direct deposit coming in. We know you. We think you know you. We have a relationship with you. So if you're kind of just on the fence with your debt to income ratio, because we approve loans based on the debt to income. Charla's got $50,000 worth of debt. That's a combination of student loan debt, credit card debt, auto loan. She's got a car. And then she makes her income. You need to be at 50% debt to income ratio to be approved for a loan. And that's just to make sure that we are giving a loan to somebody who has the capacity to pay it off. So where the character kind of comes into play in your relationship with your financial institution, if we know you, we might make a game to, if you're coming in at like the 35% or you're at 40%, you're not quite there. I can make a decision based on my relationship with Charla. I have confidence that she's going to pay it. She's been a member for a while. We're going to put her into this loan. So relationships matter. Your debt to income ratio absolutely matters. It's a computer that says their credit score is this, their income is this, their debt is this, and then it gives you a percentage. Sometimes the percentage doesn't tell the whole story. So I will say, when you are applying for a loan, you've got to be your own advocate. Don't submit a credit card application or a debt consolidation loan application and cross your fingers and hope. Try to have a conversation with whoever it is that's processing your loan. So many times we have members come to us and say, you know what, Michelle, I've just gone through a divorce. I've had so many legal fees and I've done this, this, and that. And, there's going to be a hiccup in my credit report. You'll see it for a couple of years and my credit score is bad. Is there anything you can do for me? So, just like with medical, just like with anything in life, you've got to advocate for yourself. And if you feel like you need help in advocating for yourself, I welcome you guys to call me. And then, of course, take advantage of those certified financial counselors because they can help you navigate through that loan process. And if you're just kind of over the fence where the computer says it's a decline, well, maybe if you talk to somebody, then we can turn that decline into something that happens.
Sounds great. Would you mind dropping your contact information in the chat for our audience, please? And then a couple of questions have come in. From Keisha, are there virtual consultations for home loans?
I don't know if our real estate team works through the virtual branch, but everybody at Patelco has a Zoom platform. I don't see why they couldn't do a Zoom consultation with you. So if you want to email me, I can connect you to somebody that can meet on Zoom for sure.
Great. Thank you. From Pierre, is there any advantage to renting versus buying a property for a single person?
Oh man, that's the golden and first question that everybody should be asking. And this is the conversation I had with my brother. I have 2 kids and I was living in a condo prior to buying the home that we did. And for us and our family, we needed the space. We needed, the walking distance to the schools. We wanted good schools. So a home, we felt like a home made sense for us. My brother, conversely, he's 50. He's single. It's just him and his wife. They don't have kids. They love to travel. They're like, we don't know where we're going to live in 5 years. Why are we going to invest in property? So for them, it didn't totally make sense. What I will say is owning property, is an investment. also. And so I told him if he's not going to buy property, then make sure he's investing. But I think that's a very individual decision. There's lots of calculators available also, and there's one on our website. It's a rent versus buy calculator, and you basically put in your rent and some other things, and it'll give you kind of a gist over time of what you could be saving. But I think that's a very individual and personal question. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Okay, any other questions? So now, everybody, Michelle did, you're welcome. Michelle did put her contact information, her email in the chat. So if you have questions later on that come to you in regards to Patelco products and services and Michelle's support, please feel free to contact her via email. Don't forget to mention that you attended the OCUR seminar, and so that she can remember. And that's great. I think this was all very, very helpful information, and really appreciate your time, especially considering the situation with your colleague. My best to her, and hopefully that we can schedule another session. I briefly talked with our executive director, and she agrees that we should have a second session with all of the bankers, definitely Patelco, and try this again so that we can get more information to our community. So if you'd be willing, I'd like to schedule something with you again in the very near future.
Absolutely. I would
That'd be
also like
okay?
to welcome everyone.
Alright.
Bring, all your, any questions you have. No question is a dumb question. If you need to get connected to somebody else, or I can't answer your question, I will be happy to point you to the right person. But if you have a question, ask it. I'd love to help.
Great, thank you so much. Throughout the session this evening, you've probably seen where Simone has placed the entry form for the mini grant of $150 stimulus. So please make sure you complete that so that we can make sure that we consider your application. What we'll do is within probably the next 3 business days, so I'm thinking next Wednesday, you'll know whether you are going to be awarded for the grant based on your entry. You'll receive a letter of congratulations, and we'll also announce it in general through our e-blasts. So, however, tonight we are going to offer Jasper's books to 5 different winners. And I don't have Jasper here to do my drum roll for me. Anybody volunteer? Oh, okay. Simone, would you please run the lottery?
Mm-hmm. So for the first winner, I have Michael. And then
Do we have a last name for Michael?
no, it's just his
Just
first name
Michael.
for the thing.
Okay.
Hello,
All
it's actually Gladys. I'm his wife.
Oh, okay.
So thank you.
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
congratulations, Gladys and
Yay!
Michael.
Mhm. And then for the next winner, I have Pierre Richards.
All right.
Mhm.
Woohoo, Pierre.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Mhm. And then Danielle K. Driver Bellino.
Danielle.
Thank you
Danielle.
so much.
All
Thank
right. Yay.
Mhm.
Danielle's here. Woohoo.
And
Congratulations.
then sorry if I mispronounce your name. I think it's Ammana. AMMNAH.
Amna.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations. I see your name there.
Mhm. And then
Okay.
for the final winner, I have DRA, DRA. And then for all the winners, if you could please just drop your emails in the chat, just so that we have information, so that I can contact you and coordinate how you would like to receive your book. Thank
All
you,
right,
everyone.
wonderful.
Congratulations to the winners.
Congratulations to everybody. Yes, absolutely. This has been really fun for me. I'll just say, again, this was our 3rd year. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. Even, just give you a quick little history. I worked for, directly as an employee for Occur for 10 years. And I just couldn't leave them alone. So I kept bothering the ED, Sandra Alexander, who's on the line with us also. It's like, let me do something else. Let me work on something else. And she says, well, there's the financial literacy. And I was like, I'll take it. And I delved right into it, an area that's always been challenging for me personally. Delved right into it, met Jasper. We hit it off. We understood each other, like minds in terms of what's important with finances. And here we are now with this wonderful program. We hope to continue to receive funding and support to continue going forwards, perhaps the end of the year or next year. And we hope all of you will support us and come out and learn as much as you can to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Until we meet again, thank you again. My name is Charla Montgomery, Program Director for the Financial Literacy Program, and we're so happy that you joined us.